What's up, guys? What's up, Impact Makers? I'm here with another episode of the Impact Over Income Show. We have an amazing guest today with us, who goes by the name Lisa Hammett, and she's actually a wellness coach and also a mindset coach. She helps executives create a balance in their life so that they can live a very healthy and successful life. So, Lisa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Been fantastic. How's everything going so far with you over there?
It's going great. I'm in Texas, so
Awesome.
walk the dog, had a full morning so far.
Awesome. So yeah, I was glad to have you on our show today, and just for us to proceed, I just wanted to just ask you to kind of like introduce yourself, because our show is more focused on people that experts, entrepreneurs, and people that are just looking to make an impact in the lives of people, whatever way they might find themselves, whatever place they may find themselves, maybe they're in their career, maybe it's in their business, whatever it is, just people that are looking to really make an impact in the lives of people beyond transactional, relationships with people. So that's what this movement is basically about. So can you just kind of introduce yourself and who you are, what you do, and how you got started as a coach, basically?
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much. Well, I'm Lisa Hammett, and I actually spent 26 years in the corporate retailing world. And the person that I really focus on serving now is the person who I used to be, the burnt out, stressed, unhealthy individual that worked all the time, had no personal life. It was not a good environment. And I left that world and started my personal health and wellness journey, and I lost 65 pounds. And then I started health and wellness coaching, which I've been doing for the last 10 years. And during the pandemic, I added on life coaching because I had, quite a few people who had obviously built up a lot of stress and anxiety because of the pandemic, and also wanted to get healthy and lose weight. So I added that in 2020. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. I never knew you were also a life coach. Wow. So I just learned that now. Amazing.
That's okay. Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you. I call myself a success coach because, I've helped people through job transitions. They've been in really dysfunctional jobs, and they might be highly skilled at what they do and well paid, but they are just not passionate about it at all. And they're not healthy. So they needed to change. And I've helped them, get through that. And then I've helped people lose weight as well. So there's all different kinds of things that I can help people with. So.
Awesome. Glad that you really shared that with us. So how did, I don't know if I asked the question correctly, but how did you really, start the journey of coaching so far? Like, what were some of the things that you had to go through when you were starting out as a coach?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So I said, what are some of the things, like, what was your journey like as a coach? I think basically you said you've been coaching for a while, but you started like your life coaching aspect of things from 2020. So what was your journey like from then, where you were starting as a coach till this moment right now? What was kind of the thing that you had to go through, and your process, or some of the things that you had to do, as a coach?
Okay. So what I personally went through, like I said, when I left the corporate world, I went through my personal health and wellness journey. And then I loved, I don't know, I felt more confident. It just was a great thing. And I just decided to be a health coach. So for the last 10 years, I've helped people with that. During the pandemic, I did go through a very intensive program through HPC. I don't know if you've heard of them, High Performing Coach. And at that time, I learned a lot about myself as a person, my personal journey, about how, some things from my past, like my relationship with my mother, for example, and just some things have really helped really me understand why I've reacted a certain way to certain things, and how maybe that has not been the most helpful. So, but by learning that, I can now help others, uncover things that might be preventing them from being successful, or, maybe they're fearful about doing something, and then that could have started back from when they were a child. So things like that, which that has been really rewarding.
Amazing. And I actually agree, because there's some things that while we were growing up with, we might not really understand, and when people act to us in a certain way, we might just react because of what we've been thought as a child, or maybe through the experiences you've had as a child growing up. So and this is something even from personal experience, because I was someone that people always looked down on me when I was when I was growing up, and it really affected me on the way I saw people. I was always judgmental. I was like, you don't mean much. This, I used to see people in a very negative way. I was not open to really knowing people because of what I had to go through. But after, discovering myself, going through like a process, on learning some things, I started becoming more patient with people. I started really taking a step back to really see people in a different way, because sometimes, people, when even though they might be negative to it, might be also through the stress they've gone through or whatever they might have experienced as well. So you have to really see it from a very empathetic way or standpoint, and really understand that, okay, why is this person actually acting this way, instead of just like judging the person or reacting, the way they are also reacting to you. Because when you have two people angry at each other, it's not going to solve any problem. But when you have somebody that's angry with someone that's trying to really see the reason why that person is angry, to really understand their motive behind them being angry, you can really have something that is working out between both parties.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Yes, because I think sometimes we get so preoccupied with what we're going through, and I like to call it our junk, that we don't really create a good space for others, and we might dismiss them or, like you said, judge them. But when you kind of take off that lens and just kind of be present and focus on that, you can really start to see where they're coming from. And really what's interesting is what I found is a lot of times we all kind of want the same thing. We just have different viewpoints on how to get there, so it's, if you don't have a safe place for that open dialogue, it's difficult to get to that, so goes back to the whole judgment of what you were saying and being empathetic, and I love that.
Awesome. And so I just wanted to ask, what do you think are some of the things that causes maybe individuals or executives to experience like burnout in what you're doing, or like stress? What do you think are some of the things that causes it? Because I know you're a coach, you've coached these people. So based on what you've seen, the patterns, what are some of the things that causes this kind of thing?
Great question. A lot of it is unrealistic work expectations. They might be working for a company, or it could be their own personal company, but they put so much pressure on themselves and put so much high expectation on themselves that it's not realistic. So when you have unrealistic expectations placed on you, one, it's unmotivating, and it just becomes very frustrating, and you might continue to push through, but at a certain point you're just going to completely hit a wall, and you can't do it anymore. A lot of times too, what I've seen is the support of their management or their superior is just not aligned, and it's not supportive. So kind of goes back to the dialogue that we were just speaking about, that it does not create a safe place for open dialogue. Like if there are challenges, you can't bring those because you're criticized for bringing forth a challenge, so you can't really present that. And if you can't do that, how can you overcome challenges? So oftentimes that can be the case. And just, unrealistic hours, just working all the time, not allowing time for self-care. And what I mean with self-care, it doesn't mean necessarily, oh, I'm just going to take a whole day off and go to a spa. That's not necessarily realistic. No, I mean, it's just taking like a break, taking a lunch break, or taking a quick coffee break, or making sure you get enough rest at night, eating healthy, that kind of thing. It's all interrelated. And oftentimes that self-care goes by the wayside when you're just completely stressed and burnt out and overloaded with a bunch of expectations. And then layer on the unsupport that you're getting, or lack of support, I should say, and it just compounds. So,
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. I just wanted to ask just a follow-up question to what I just asked. Is it just executives you work with, or do you also work with like maybe business owners or individuals?
oh yeah, I'll work with anybody. My niche, again, like I said, was executives and
Executives,
business
yeah.
owners, just because I kind of came from that
From the
world.
corporate
But
world.
no, I'll absolutely. I mean, I'll talk to anybody clearly who might be overwhelmed or stressed and just feels like they're stuck and they just don't know. It's what they know, and unfortunately, we tend to get comfortable with being uncomfortable because it's what we know, and the fear of, oh my gosh, going out and actually looking for something else is too scary. What if I lose my job, or what if I don't make enough money, or all these things that start going through our brains that sabotage our efforts to even take action. So
That's very, very true. Because especially if you're working in a corporate environment, most times we don't have the people, maybe like your superiors, having the support system in place for you to really, release your potentials or your creativity. It can really be damaging to you as a person. And you may feel like nobody cares about you or what you have to offer. And I think that's one of the reasons why even like employees, for example, in organizations, that's the reason why they end up resigning from organizations, because they feel like they're not heard, they feel like they're not appreciated in the environment, even though the salary might be good, but
mhm.
there's like an inner craving in the human soul that's, I want more than just making money. I want to create something more. I want to be part of something bigger. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and if
Yes.
people in the place of authority or power, whether it's an organization, in a spiritual setting, if they don't have this in place, it's not going to boost the productivity of those that are under them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when it boils down to, people just want to feel seen and heard and appreciated and that they're valued. And when they're not valued and there's no support, like you said, it's money isn't everything. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, we need money to live,
yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
But when you're completely undervalued and just feel like you're not even in any kind of alignment with where you might be skill wise, but with lack of support, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it, you know?
Very
So
true.
I understand.
Because I see another reason why people experience also burnout is sometimes they don't have clarity on what they want for themselves. Because
Good point.
because sometimes when you're really clear on what you want to achieve and the steps that you need to on why you want to achieve it, and also steps on how you can get there, it's going to make it very easy for you to create a process that fits into your lifestyle or fits into your routine so that you don't burn out. Because if I'm trying to become someone else and that's not my personality, even though I want to achieve what he has achieved, it's not good. There's going to be like a conflict of interest, because I can't be Lisa. I can only be me. So you have to do something that fits
Exactly.
into what I'm very good at, what I'm passionate about, or something like very related to that. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I do an exercise with clients, especially if they are wanting to get out of a toxic situation, and I have them write down, write down for me like all the values, the thing that you value most, and try to narrow it down to 3. And then your strengths, what are you good at? And that doesn't necessarily mean a skill per se. It could be maybe you're a good communicator, maybe you're a good friend, whatever it is. It could be a lot of different things, and then also what you're passionate about. And when you do that, you start to see commonalities in each of the areas. And then ideally, what you want to do is to create a vision, as you were saying, which is really a roadmap of where you want to go, that incorporates those values, those strengths, and those passions. Because when you're aligned with all 3, that's when you can be successful. And then once you have that solid vision and you start to really see, okay, now this is where my strengths are. This is what I value most. This is what I'm really passionate about. Okay, now let's create that plan of action to make it reality. So, yep.
Something that aligns with your values. All right. So to the viewers that are going to be watching this, I hope you guys are going to be taking notes. This is some valuable tips that Lisa is really dropping for us here today. Awesome. So self-care, something that aligns with your values. You need also support. Lack of support causes burnout and unrealistic work expectations. Wow, that is amazing. How do you think someone can create like a good habit? Because there's sometimes we have bad habits that we experience as humans, but we want to change them. But when we make steps to changing them, at the end of the day, we still go back to the same old habits. How do you think, what process do you think we should follow in order for those that are going to be watching this? What process do you think they can follow for them to really transform the habit that they don't really like?
So that's a really great question. So if you want to change behavior, the first thing to do is to make it an active goal, which means something that you're going to do versus something that you're going to stop doing. So if it's a bad habit that you want to stop, don't tell yourself, I'm going to stop doing this, because we don't like being told what we can or cannot do. And if you're telling yourself, well, you can't do that because that's bad for you, or you shouldn't do that, that's just going to make you want to do it more. So instead, focus on developing those small, sustainable habits that are healthy, that would replace that behavior, whatever that might be. I'm just going to use a random example of, let's say, maybe you want to start being active, okay, and you haven't been in a while. So instead of saying, oh, I'm going to stop watching TV and just sitting on the couch, every night, I'm going to stop doing that. Well, there's no motivating component at all. So instead saying, okay, so I'm going to start with maybe a 10-minute walk. I'm going to commit to doing it one day, and I'm going to make it really realistic and doable. I'm not going to say, oh, I know I can physically do it for 7 days, but if you're not doing it at all, that's not going to happen. So start small. Don't even say anything about, oh, I'm going to stop doing this other thing, but I'm going to do this. So, our minds can develop those neural pathways very quickly once we start repeating that same behavior. So, you can build upon it. So do that one day a week, whatever it is. And then you can build on it. Then it may become 2 days. And before you know it, you have replaced that positive behavior, or you have replaced the negative behavior with the positive behavior. So.
Wow. How long, based on your experience or what you've seen from people, how long do you think it takes for someone to change an old habit?
That's a great question too, because there is a lot of scientific research out there, and a lot of it is, there's not, okay, let me start over. You may have heard, oh, it takes 21 days to form a habit. And then there's some latest research that says, oh, it's over 200 and something days to form a habit. Well, the thing is, there's a lot of research out there, but none of it is really enough to be sustainable. So bottom line, what I'm saying is, everybody is different. And I'm going to use smoking as an example, because that's a highly addictive, habitual thing. Okay. So you may have heard, the term cold turkey. I'm just going to quit cold turkey. I'm going to just stop doing it. You may know of somebody, or you may have heard of somebody that just one day wakes up and just said, and they've been smoking, let's say, for 25, 30 years. So they have quite a habit. And they just decide, wake up one morning and they're just going to stop, and they stop. Then there may be others who have been smoking for years and have tried and tried. They've tried patches, they've tried hypnosis, they've tried a lot of different ways and, techniques to try to stop smoking, and they always go back to it. So it doesn't mean that one person is better than another. It just means that we're all hardwired differently, and it's no two people are the same. So there's not a specific amount of time that it takes. How habits are formed is through repetition. So the more you do something, the quicker it will become a habit. And there's a step in what we call the habit loop. And one of my favorite books is Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you haven't read it, highly recommend it. And he talks a lot about how habits are formed, but they start with what you call a cue, which is some kind of trigger to make you want to do the behavior. So let's just say I drink water. Okay. I drink a lot of water. So a cue or a trigger to remind me to drink my water is this. And there's different things that tell me, where am I at? So that is my cue. And then the behavior is to drink the water. So my reward then is feeling better, having more energy, that kind of thing. So there's the trigger, there's the behavior, and there's the reward. And that's how habits are formed. Now, you have to have some kind of motivating component in there, because if you're not motivated to continue to do the behavior, it's not going to happen. So, maybe there's health reasons why you need to drink more water. So that could be your motivating component. Maybe your doctor said, oh, you have to drink more water for XYZ reason, whatever, so then you do so. So does that help? That was a lot of information.
Yeah, so you need a trigger, you need to do the behavior, and also you need a reward. I think one other thing that can also serve as a motivating factor is when you understand the possible ramifications of not doing what you need to do to get to the outcome you're looking for. For example, maybe you need to get to a certain income range as an entrepreneur, and you know that you don't have the resources or the skills that you need to get there. Maybe you need to get some guidance from someone that is very successful in that thing that you want to do. And you know that if you try to probably do it on your own, it's going to take you probably longer, and you're going to spend maybe more time, more money, more resources than just trying to get someone that is going to be a specialist in that area and just teach you. So when you understand that, okay, the ramifications of me not doing this is I'm going to lose time, and time is something I can never get back. I'm going to lose more money. So you're trying to identify the consequences of inaction. So when you understand the consequences of inaction, it kind of motivates you on why you need to take action now. Because if I know that if I'm obese and I do not learn from someone that is an health expert, there's a tendency that what I'm doing, the habits I'm doing right now, could lead to maybe cancer, diabetes, some other complications, which is way worse than taking yourself from a comfort zone, taking yourself out of the comfort zone. Because we know that as humans, we don't like being taken out of our comfort zone, because that's where our brain is wired. When we see something that doesn't look really easy on face value, we'll be like, maybe I should just chill out, maybe I should just relax, maybe I still need more time to think about it. But when you understand that there's the ramifications of you not doing this, it will make you want to do it more. And when you have that at the back of your mind, do I really want this to happen to me? And it kicks you to want to. Because at the end of the first instance, when you do something, you will not be comfortable with it, because we are not used to change immediately as humans.
Change is hard.
Yes, change is very hard. And when you start putting easy steps, for example, if you're someone that you know that to grow your business or to expand yourself online, you need to put out content consistently. I know some people will tell you, okay, put out 5 content a day, 10 content a week. You might be like, okay, let me just start with 1 a week. Then you do that consistently. Then when you notice that, okay, I've been doing this consistently, you can put 2 a week now and do it consistently and start building up, just like you said before. When you're consistent and you start adding some more things on what you're doing, it adds up. And before you know, you notice that you're already developing a new pattern or new habit, because there's something that consistency does to the brain. Just like you said, it creates new neural pathways in the brain, and it just becomes automatic. Because there was something I was learning from this guy. I don't know if you know him. His name is Kevin Trudeau. Is one that created a video training called "Your Wish is Your Command," and he said, if you want to learn anything, whether it's a skill, it doesn't matter, that you have to move from what we call the conscious competence. And conscious competence, it means that this is the right thing for you to do, then you do it. Then you move from conscious competence to unconscious competence. And unconscious competence is where your subconscious mind is doing it. For example, you want to tie your shoes. The first time you decided to tie your shoes as a child, you probably didn't know how to tie your shoes. and maybe your parents or your guardian taught you how to tie your shoes, so you're doing it consciously every day. So at some point when they just say tie your shoes, you don't need to think about it anymore. You just tie your shoes. Or if you're driving to your house, you don't need to start asking people, oh, which way do I need to get to my house? Because you've been doing it over and over and over and over again. So it just kicks into your brain, and your subconscious mind does know that this is what you have to do. So I think that is something that people too can really look at as well.
Absolutely. That's a great point. You want it to become that second nature. And
yeah,
kind of going back to your previous question about how do you stop bad behavior, being present and creating awareness for that, because oftentimes that bad behavior has become so ingrained. It's become the unconscious competence that we don't want.
Yeah.
And you have to create awareness that exists. And oftentimes we just don't do it. Like, emotionally eating, just automatically, oh, I'm stressed. Okay, I'm just going to reach for something. And you don't think about it, but you just do it. So it's okay. Need to be more present. And then you can start to be curious about why you're behaving a certain way. So if there's a behavior that you want to stop, be present, think about it, and you'll learn. You'll get some good signals.
Awesome. So you need awareness, then every other thing falls into place.
Yes.
Awesome. I do think people can be more productive as an individual. From your own experience, how do you think people can be more productive to achieving what they want to achieve? Maybe in a day, what do you think people need to just be more productive?
Great question. I think one of the most important things is to schedule.
Okay.
Definitely, kind of my motto is if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. So it's one thing to say, oh, sure, yeah, let's do that. But if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. So you need to schedule it. And that includes everything, just as you might schedule a work meeting or a doctor's appointment, schedule personal care time. I'm going to go for a walk at this time, or I'm going to take a lunch break, or, whatever it is, but it needs to go on your calendar and you need to schedule it. And you need to stick to certain windows, because let's face it, you can go down a rabbit hole, especially on social media. You could go on there with the intention of, oh, I'm just going to do one post. And then before you know it, you've spent 2 hours engaging, or an hour, engaging, with other people. And I'm not saying that is bad, that you shouldn't do that. But, if you really are under a strict timeline, then, when you schedule it, you got to stick to your schedule. And also set clear boundaries. Boundaries are so important. And this is something that I've struggled with, and I've had to learn to say no, because I was, I like to say I'm a recovering people pleaser. And basically I would always say yes. Oh yeah, sure, I can do that. Oh yeah, that would be great. And then before I know it, I was so stressed out all the time, and I had way too many things on my plate. So when you set healthy boundaries and don't overcommit yourself, then you are more productive on what you're doing, and you're not feeling compelled to, and I hate this term, multitasking, because multitasking does not work. It doesn't work for anybody.
Why?
If you try to do 2 things at the same time, you're not going to do either thing well. It's just the way it is. You need to focus on one thing and then move to the next. So sure. Scheduling, maybe it's time blocking. Maybe you have to time block in your schedule. So, all right. So scheduling, healthy boundaries, and again, learn to say no and be honest. You don't have to, if somebody invites you to do something and you've always done it, or there's an expectation that you've done it, just say, my schedule's really full right now. I'm sorry, I have to say no. And you don't have to give a big dissertation as to why, but what I've found is that people actually respect you when you're honest with them and just say, I can't commit to that right now.
Very true. And, it's very, very true, because sometimes when we're always looking to please people, we do this at the expense of what we might want to achieve. And that can be very damaging to us, even on the goals that we've set for ourselves, maybe professionally, and so on and so forth. So we must learn to at least sometimes they say no to people, but let them see the reason why they're saying no. Because if you just say no, I'm not doing it, people will be like, she's proud,
Right.
she doesn't want to be on my podcast, so so you just need to just like, oh, I would love to be on the podcast, but as of now I'm very full because my schedule has so many events going on. And just please try to bear with me or try to understand. Maybe some other time you could reach out, I could be free at that time and could just work something out.
Yeah, perfect example. That's a perfect example. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that is just something that people need to look at as well. So guys, I hope you guys are taking notes. Make sure you put everything that is important. And another thing is only do the things that moves the needle in your life or your business or your profession. There's what we call asymmetric activities where you only focus on things that move the needle. So even though there are certain tasks, they're important, but they're not that important, then you just move them out. Then put the most important tasks that you need to do first. There's something I learned from Brian Tracy. He said on the Eat the Frog book. I don't know if you've read it, but it's on productivity as well. Mm-hmm. And he said you need to focus on the hardest task first. I know some people might not agree with it, but he said when you focus on the hardest task, it gives you the opportunity to be like, okay, now I'm done with this task. Let me now focus on the minor tasks. So that is something I learned from his book, Eat the Frog by Brian Tracy.
Yeah, so, that's great advice.
Yeah, for sure. So guys, hope you guys are taking a shadow the calendar, stick to certain activities in certain windows, set clear boundaries, do not overcommit yourself. Okay, this is very, very good. Good stuff here. Awesome. So what are your thoughts on work-life balance? There are a lot of buzz going around that on the internet, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's essential for a healthy life. Now, I'm going to be realistic here. There's going to be times where certain areas of your life are going to take over a little bit, but it shouldn't be a permanent thing. Like, if you are planning a family vacation or you have a family member who's ill or, certain things that will take precedence, clearly. And there might be certain events, like if you're planning a big project for work or something like that, that you may be working a little more overtime than what you normally would. The thing is you don't want it to consistently be out of balance. That's not healthy, because as we were saying about the whole multitasking, when you can't do multiple things well at the same time. So you can't expect to have the perfect, relationship, the perfect job, the perfect, everything all at the same time. I mean, they all definitely take, work. I think, yes, you can have balance, but don't allow one area to totally take over. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say, because then that will filter into other areas and it can provide resentment. And so it is very important. It is very important, but there will be times when it might be slightly skewed, and that's okay. Just recognizing that it is and not letting that become a permanent thing.
That's very, very true. How can executives or maybe individuals, how can they improve their health when they're trying to, progress in their life, in your business, in their work? What are some of the things they feel that could really improve their health, to give them more strength mentally and physically? What are some of the things that you advise?
I think the most important thing is getting a good night's rest. Really. I mean, yes, what you put in your body is so important. How you feed it, absolutely, that's important. But more and more studies have shown that sleep and lack of sleep can cause so many health problems. And it can also mess with your cognitive skills. So speaking of productivity, this is another thing too. It's if you don't get a good night's rest, you're not going to be clear, focused. And after a while, if you are repetitively not having a good night's rest, it can actually create symptoms similar to dementia, which is really scary. I know. There's been scientific research to support this. So, and that's for people who chronically say, oh, I can run on 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. No, you can't. You might think you can, but you can't. And the problem is when you do that, oftentimes you're trying to exist on caffeine or the wrong foods to try to boost your energy level. And again, it's like this the spiral, this downward spiral that just keeps going. So, when lack of sleep also can cause an overproduction of cortisol in your body, which then causes cravings for high fat, high calorie foods. And you need, quick energy. So you're reaching for unhealthy carbs and sugar and caffeine, and everything in moderation is fine, but if that's all you're eating to try to keep you awake, that is totally unhealthy. So I really think it starts with sleep. Yes, and then absolutely what you eat and moving your body. You've got to move your body, even if you don't have time to actually do a full workout a day. Just, try to get up every hour, or if you're on a lot of phone calls, get a standing desk or take a call, and pace. There's a lot of things that you can do just to get more steps into your day and just move, because our bodies were designed to move. If we sit all day long, our bodies will actually start to shut down. And plus we'll also get, aches and pains, and it's not good.
Oh, and even if it's like a 15-minute walk, like if you have a pet, you just take your pet on a walk, like Lisa, or if you want to just go on a 10 minutes walk or 5 minutes walk, it's just to move the body around. Because some people might not want to do those, crazy exercises, lifting the weights and stuff, because I don't like lifting weights. So I just prefer to just go on a walk.
I don't either. They're good for you, but I'm going to be totally honest. I don't. People ask me this all the time. They're like, what is the best activity? Is it weight bearing? Well, yes, weight bearing is important, but you can use your body as natural weight bearing. Bottom line is the best activity is the one that you'll do. So you need to find something that you enjoy. And I like to walk and I like to bike. So I haven't been on my bike in a while, but I like both, and especially walking. That's my favorite. So, whatever it is, you got to find something that you enjoy and schedule it so it happens.
That's very, very true. Yeah, if you when you walk, especially when you're walking alone, you have the ability to really become very creative. You can now think and just take a step back. Okay, just take it like a review on what you've done for the day, for the month, for the year, and how you can really improve. And that's when like creativity start coming in. Okay, like, oh, this is what I need to improve. This is what I can do better. This is how I can improve my relationships. Ideas just start coming because you are just in a safe space, alone from the noise that is happening all over the world. So it really helps. It helps you mentally.
It does. Absolutely. It does. It clears your head, and it just, there's something too about going outdoors, even in the natural light, even if it's cloudy, that is considered a mood elevator. It will actually lift your spirits by going outside and exercising, those endorphins. Again, a lot of people are like, oh, exercising. I hate the term exercising. Well, again, it boils down to do something that you enjoy doing. Maybe it's dancing, it could be gardening. Maybe you like to garden, there's a lot of different things that you can do.
If you like
sports, absolutely. Absolutely.
Maybe like golfing, tennis, or something like that.
Yes.
So just exactly. So just to wrap up, I just wanted to ask you, what are some of the goals you're probably looking to? Because I know we're in the second quarter of 2022. So what are some of the goals that you're looking to probably achieve, in your coaching business or your coaching practice moving forward in 2022?
What my personal goals are?
Be your personal, your business goals, something like that.
Well, the biggest one actually that's kind of taken most of the focus is I'm publishing a book.
Oh.
And it's from burnout to best life. And my goal.
I saw that on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yes. So my goal is to have the ebook out by sometime in the summer, and actually have the physical book, hard copy book out no later than Halloween, but I'm thinking early fall. So And it's really, it integrates my story, kind of exiting the corporate world and kind of how I landed to where I am, but really gives a lot of practical tips, starting with, how we talked about having that vision and, creating those healthy habits. And, I talk about things such as fear and how to manage stress and what you put in your body and food myths and how you move your body. So it's kind of like a total wellness book. And at the end of each chapter, there are reflection questions. So really the purpose of the book, it's not a workbook per se, but it's really to get you to recognize that there might be some pain points in your life that need to be addressed. And just to recognize that by the end of reading the book that, yes, I need to take some kind of positive action in some way. So that's really the purpose. So I would say that's the big one.
Awesome. Because I know you put out some amazing content on your LinkedIn profile. Is that the way most of your clients get to know you? Is that the way you get to work with most of your clients through your content?
Yes. A lot of it. And then through referrals, I've been lucky to get some great referrals from some friends and clients. So, but yes, I do. I attract a lot of people on LinkedIn. So
fantastic. Awesome. So, it's been an amazing conversation so far. Do you have any last words for my viewers, Lisa?
I guess what I would say is positive change is possible. You might feel like you're in a situation, and this might not pertain to all areas of your life, but there could be one area of your life that you're not really 100% satisfied with, but for whatever reason, you just feel like, well, I can't make change, for X, Y, and Z reason. I can't do it. Sure you can. That's a fear. And you just have to recognize, okay, what is the fear that is preventing you from taking positive action? But I like to say, you're never too old and it's not too late to make positive change in your life.
You're never too old and it's never too late. Wow. So
It's true. It doesn't matter how old you are or where you are and what stage of your life, you can make positive change.
Sure. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to just say thank you so much for showing up for the podcast. How do you think people can really reach out to you to learn more about your services and really what you do and how you can possibly help them, overcome stress, anxiety, and really be more productive, basically?
So you could go to my website. It's real easy. It's my name, Lisa Hammett, and that's HAMMETT.com. LisaHammett.com. So it's very, very easy. And you'll find, a little more about me on my website. I have blog posts on there as well. Some free things that you can pull off the website, some downloadables, and you can also book a consultation with me if you just want to have a conversation. No strings attached at all. It's just a conversation. So I like just talking to people to even see if it's even a right fit, because I'm not going to say that I'm the right fit for everybody, and vice versa. So, but I always enjoy having conversations with people. So
yeah, we're not those pushy sales people and
no,
those crazy salesmen. No, just have a conversation, see if the person needs help. And
absolutely. And I have a great network of people that I can refer as well, So if I'm not the right fit, that's totally fine. There's somebody I'm sure within my network that I could refer you to. So, well, thank you for this opportunity. This has been great. I really appreciate it.
So I'm going to put to those of my viewers that are watching this or are going to be watching this, I'm going to put our details. That's a LinkedIn profile and also our website, so you guys can really reach out to her, connect with her, and just learn more about what she does, and take your life, your profession, and even if your business to the next level with our expertise and what she has to offer, basically. So thank you so much, Lisa, for coming on our podcast.
Thank you.
I truly appreciate you. It was an amazing conversation, a lot of light bulb moments, and I've taken a lot of notes, as you can see. Jotting.
That's awesome. I love it. I'm so
Awesome.
impressed. Well, you have a lot of wisdom too. So
Yeah. So
this
no,
was great.
I don't think I know anything. I'm still learning, you know.
Oh, you know a lot. You know a lot.
Awesome. So
All
thank you
right.
so much. And I wish you have, I do wish you that you have a blessed day today.
Thank you. You as well. All right.